Hello everyone, I am Dr. Garima Srivastav from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. I am going to discuss the factors which affect forex exchange. Now, when we talk about exchange rates, we have talked about spot rates, forward rates and the day rates. Now, how these rates differ? Why? Because whenever we talk about currency, the domestic currency which we need to exchange with any of the foreign currency, we need to check at what rate it would change. For example, 73 rupees will change for 1 US dollar. So, who decides this particular exchange rate? There are certain factors which influence these rates of the currency, and according to these factors only we are going to change, we are going to get that foreign currency against our domestic currency. So, whenever talking about factors, the very first one is the inflation rate. Now, what is inflation? Actually, inflation is a phase or is a situation in which the prices of the commodities keep on increasing. So, changes in the market inflation causes changes in the currency exchange rate. So, of course, whenever there is more inflow of money, the people will have more pocket size, they will try to buy more and more products and services. So, there will be more demand. Similarly, in the opposite direction, if we see, there will be lesser money in the market, people will be less willing to buy the product because their pocket size is lesser. So, we need to check into the inflation rate of the current currency, inflation rate of the country into which we are going to change our currency. A country with a lower inflation rate than another will see an appreciation in the value of its currency. The prices of goods and services increase at a slower rate where the inflation is low. So, whenever the inflation is low, the prices of goods and services, they will keep on increasing at a very slow rate. That means, the prices will keep on increasing till the exhaustion limit comes. That means, till the point where the people will no longer be able to give that higher price. A currency with a country with a consistently lower inflation rate exhibits a rising currency value, while a country with a higher inflation typically sees depreciation in its currency and is usually accompanied with higher interest rates. Why? Because so as to maintain that equilibrium, so as to bring that equilibrium whenever more and more inflation is there in the market. That means, the currency of the domestic market is depreciating. So, to bring it back to its actual position or to get it back to its actual exchange rate, we need to increase the interest rates that are being paid by the individuals of the country. Now, it will also be influenced by the interest rates. Of course, when there is a depreciation in the domestic market currency, the interest rates will increase. Similarly, in the opposite direction, if there is appreciation in the market, that means more and more money is in the market, more and more people are investing, more and more people are buying the properties or investing in different assets, the interest rates will go on lowering. Changes in the interest rate affect the currency value and the dollar exchange rate. Forex rates, interest rates and inflation are all correlated. That means, any of the effect of any of forex rate, interest rate or inflation will affect the exchange rate of the currency. Increase in the interest rate causes a country's currency to appreciate, because higher interest rates provides higher rate to the lenders, thereby attracting more and more foreign capital, which causes a rise in the exchange rates. Thirdly, we have country's current account or the balance of payment account. A country's current account reflects the balance of trade and earning on foreign investment. It consists of total number of transactions including imports and exports and the debts. So, of course, when we see into the balance of payment account, we have total number of exports and total number of imports. From there only we can assess if more and more imports are there in the country, that means more and more money is being swept out of the country and there is a deficit that will be created in the domestic market. Similarly, if a country goes for exporting That means the product from the home country will move into the other country. That means it will be generating revenue from the international market. So, it will create a surplus. So, balance of payment fluctuates exchange rates of its domestic currency also. So, whenever we have excess currency, the exchange rate would be at a positive side, and if there is a deficit, exchange rate will be at a negative side. So, now the fourth point, fourth influencing factor, it will be government debt. How far the government is able to pay the debt it has taken from the other international countries. Now, we are not talking about the public debt, we are not talking about the domestic debt that the government takes or gives in the domestic country. Now, why? Because we are talking in terms of international market and we are talking in terms of balance of payment. So, over there is a need to check that overall what is the amount of debt that the government is holding. So, government debt is a public debt or a national debt owned by the central government. Why does this government own some debt? Why? Because the government needs this money for the tasks of upgradation, tasks of growth, tasks of industrialization, some kind of infrastructural development in the country. So, for that purpose government borrows this debt from the other countries. So, a country with the government debt is less likely to acquire foreign capital and leading to inflation. That means, if you are having more and more debt, no people or lesser number of countries will be interested in investing their foreign capital into your own country. That means, it would lead to a kind of inflation. No money, no external money, no foreign exchange will be coming into your country. So, there will be lesser money, there will be a deficit that will be created. Similarly, foreign investors will sell their bonds in the open market if the market predicts government debt within a certain country. So, if the market predicts that the government debts are increasing, so in that case the foreign investors will also start selling their bonds, their stocks, their shares. So, this selling will also bring back your own currency in the same country. It will again create a deficit. As a result, a decrease in the value of its exchange rate will follow. Then certain terms of trade that the government fixes, it also influences the exchange rate. It is related to the current accounts and balance of payments. The term of trade is the ratio of export prices to the import prices. That means, terms of trade are decided when we divide export prices with the import prices. We get that terms of trade, we get that actual amount or actual point where the exchange will take place. The country's terms of trade improves if its export prices rise at a greater rate than the import prices. That means, exports should be more. Of course, when the exports will be more, the surplus will be created, you will be generating revenue from the international market. That means, you will be bringing in the foreign currency into your own country and ultimately strengthening your economy in terms of foreign currency, and your domestic currency will also increase because it will also affect the exchange rate of your own currency. Then we have political stability or performance. A country's political state and economic performance can affect its currency strength. A country with less risk for political turmoil is more attractive for foreign investors. Now, when we talk about political state and economic performance, we need to check both these factors in terms of exchange rate system. Why? Because very far political parties are able to influence these exchange rates through monetary institutions. So, the political state and the economic state. Economic state means that the type of monetary condition or the economic condition of the country. That means, whether it is an inflation, whether there is a boom in the market in that particular country. So, a country with less political turmoil, that means, if there are lesser number of risk in terms of political parties, that means, political parties are not fighting over different issues, the issues are very clear in the minds of all the political leaders. So, if there is a peace kind of position in the business of that particular country, it will will attract more and more foreign investors in the domestic market. Increase in the foreign capital leads to a appreciation in the value of the domestic currency. So, when it will increase, when it will attract more and more foreign investors, that means they will be start investing in your domestic market. That means they will be bringing in your foreign capital. That means you will be having more and more foreign reserve, foreign capital, foreign currency reserve in your own country, which will appreciate your domestic currency. So, a country with sound financial and trade policy does not give any room for uncertainty in the value of its currency. Similarly, when we talk about the economic condition, that means if a country is sound in its financial and trade policy, that means whatever policies are prevailing in terms of monetary policy or trade policy of the country, if there is a more clarity, if there is more transparency, it will give way, it will give rise to the point that its currency will be at a valued place as compared to the some other country. Then comes the recession. Of course, if there is a recession, when a country experiences a recession, its interest rates are likely to fall, decreasing the chances to acquire foreign capital. As a result, its currency weakens in comparison to other countries, therefore lowering the exchange rate. So, if we are facing recession, the prices of the commodities will go on increasing and the people will not be willing to buy the product, or there will be lesser money, lesser of domestic currency as well as the foreign currency in your domestic market. So, it will not it will again give way that the people will not be interested, or foreign investors will not be interested to invest in your country at all. So, it will not bring in more and more foreign capital. So, recession is a very bad phase for a country, and a country should check into the different monetary measures. The bank should take up many monetary measures, so that this recession can be taken up as a challenge, and it can be decreased to a certain extent through different policies, trade policies of that country. Then comes speculation. If a country's currency value is expected to rise, investors will demand more of that currency in order to make profit in near future. That means, if we look into the fact that a certain kind of speculation or forecasting, then in that case, if we see in near future that a country's currency value will rise, then of course more and more investors will try to invest their money in that particular country, so as to gain profits in near future. As a result, the value of the currency will rise in the due to increase in demand. That means, now more and more investors will be increasing demanding that particular currency, which will give way to the rise in the currency. With this increase in the currency value comes a rise in the exchange rate as well. Now, these were the factors, these 8 points were the factors which influence the currency rate of the domestic currency as well as the foreign currency. Now, all the factors may equally influence the currency rate, or they may give a fluctuating influence on the currency rate. Now, when we talk about the how exchange rates are determined, we have already talked about this particular topic, but when we talk about floating exchange rate, there are certain theories which we need to discuss, which we need to study. So, while talking about determination of floating exchange rate, there are 4 theories that explain how floating rate are set. So, the very first one is the supply and demand theory. This theory states that the exchange rate is the intersection of supply of domestic currency and its demand. So, wherever the demand and supply of a currency intersects on a graph, that intersection point or that equilibrium point will decide the exchange rate for that currency. The supply of domestic currency is determined by imports and demand is determined by the exports. Second theory, it says that this theory links with money supply and prices of the exchange rate. This is the monetary theory. So, when we talk about the monetary theory, it links the money supply and prices of the exchange rate. That means, it does not talks about demand and supply of the foreign currency. An increase in the money supply leads to increase in the prices, that means inflation. So, if more and more money is there, if more money is there in the market, then it will lead to a condition or situation which is called as inflation. This is a generous situation, this is a progressive situation for a particular country. According to the monetary theory, the exchange rate is the ratio of prices in two countries. Ratio of prices in two countries, that means we need to check into the price of the money, price of the currency in that country as well as the price of the currency in our own country. When we make them, when we divide them, when we get that ratio, we get the monetary, we get that actual exchange rate between the two countries. So, the increase in price causes the exchange rate to be reset. So, whenever the prices increases, as in the case in inflation, so the exchange rate will also increase. Consider two countries A and B. When the money supply in each country rises, the prices in each country also rises. So, of course, when the money supply is there, people will be having more pocket size, they will be more demanding for the product or services, they will go for buying of that commodities. If the growth of money supply in A is greater than the growth of money supply in B, then A experiences higher inflation rate than B. Then of course, if growth of money supply in A is more, that means there is more demand that is generated in the country A, that means more and more people are willing to buy the product. Why? Because their pocket size is more. So, of course, their pocket size is more, there is more money in that particular domestic market. So, this market will be at a inflationary rate. So, according to the purchasing power parity theory, the exchange rate is nothing but the ratio of prices between the two countries. Since A has had a relatively greater rise in the price, A's currency depreciates and the new exchange rate will get established. The third one we have is the asset price theory. The theory states that currency is an asset just as real estate and or securities or gold. Now, this theory takes up currency as an asset. The desire to hold a particular type of asset is driven by the perception of the asset's future value. That means now the people will desire this money. Why they will desire this money? Because through their speculation or through their projection, they have come to know that the value of this particular currency will increase in the near future. That is why they are going to invest in this particular currency. If the value is likely to rise, the people will want to buy the asset and sell it at a higher price, so as to make profits and vice versa. So, of course, if through their speculation they come to know that the value of this currency will rise in near future, they will invest in this asset. While in the opposite direction, if the value of this asset decreases in the near future, they will sell the particular asset. Thirdly, we have portfolio balance theory. Portfolio balance theory connects money supply and demand for domestic securities, demand for foreign securities and exchange rate. So, it connects all the points of the earlier theories. Now, there are some assumptions of portfolio balance theory. Its assumptions are: investors can hold two types of assets, that is currency and bonds. Domestic bonds issued in the domestic currency and foreign bonds issued in the foreign currency. Investors in two countries have identical asset preferences. When the wealth of the investors in either country increases, they would prefer to hold more assets as they already hold in the excess. Now, coming down to history of Indian rupee. Now, how this Indian rupee came? There is a certain short history of this particular Indian rupee. While talking about this history, I have made this in a form of a chart appearing on the screen right from the year 1540 and what happened in the next column. So, in 1540-45, Sher Shah Suri issued a silver coin which was in use during the Mughal period, Maratha era and in India. So, during this period a silver coin was used as a currency. Now, through this period, when we come down to the next year, that is in 17s, 1770 to 1832. The earliest paper rupees were issued by Bank of Hindustan 1770 to 1832, General Bank of Bengal and Bihar and Bengal Bank. So, the actual use of rupee, paper rupee started in 1770, which was issued by the Bank of Hindustan. Now, the 1st April 1935, Reserve Bank of India is set up. In January 1938, Reserve Bank issues first note of rupee 5. February 1938, Reserve Bank issues next notes, next serials of notes, that is rupees 10, rupees 100, rupees 1000 and 10,000 notes. Now, in August 1940, rupee 1 was note was introduced. Rupee 1 was introduced on 30th November 1917, followed by rupee 2 and at 8 annas and was discontinued on 1 Jan on 1926. Then in March 1943, rupee 2 note was introduced. In 1950, RBI issues first post independent coins of 1 paise, 1.2, 1 and 2 annas, 1.4, 1.2 and 1 rupee 1 denominations. 1953, Hindi language features prominently on new notes being called as rupiah. Now, these particular rupees were started being called as rupiah, whose plural is rupiye. Now, when we talk about in 1957, rupee was decimalized and divided into 100 paisa. That means, rupee contains 100 paisa. This was done in 1957. Now, all these happened after independence, these particular things. Then 1957 to 67, aluminium coins of denomination of 1, 2, 3, 5 and 10 paisa were introduced. In 1967, note size reduced due to the lean period of early 60s. In 1980, new note issued with symbol of science and technology, Aryabhat on rupee 2 note, Progress oil rig on rupees 1 and farm mechanization on rupee 5 and Indian art form on rupees 20 and rupees 10 notes, Konark wheel and peacock. October 1987, rupee 500 note was introduced due to growing economy and fall in purchasing power. In 1988, stainless steel coins of 10 rupee, 10 paisa, 25 paisa, 50 paisa was introduced. In 1992, rupee 1 and rupee 5 coin in stainless steel was introduced. In 1996, Mahatma Gandhi series of note issued starting with the rupee 10 and rupee 500 note. This series has replaced all the notes of Lion Capital series. A changed watermark, windowed security thread, latent image, intelio features for visually handicapped were the new features of this particular note in 1996. Now, in 2005 to 2008, new 50 paisa, rupee 1, rupee 2, rupee 5 stainless steel coin was introduced. 2009, the printing of 5 rupee note which had stopped earlier, it resumed. Then July 2010, new symbol of rupee was officially adopted. Now, this was the new symbol given in the quotes. 2011, 25 paisa coin and all paisa coins below it demonetized. That means, all the coins below for 25 paisa denomination, they were removed, they were stopped in the market. New series of 50 paisa and rupee 1, rupee 2, rupee 5 and rupee 10 with new rupee symbol was introduced. Then 2012, new rupee sign is incorporated in the notes. Now the notes come with this particular new sign of the Mahatma Gandhi series in denomination of rupees 10, rupees 20, rupees 50, rupees 100, rupees 500 and rupees 1000. November 2016, demonetization took place. Rupees 500, rupees 1000 notes discontinued and new rupees and rupees 500 and rupees 2000 notes were introduced. Now, till demonetization, we know we have studied all the history of a particular rupee in India. Now, what does this demonetization influence? How does this demonetization influence the international business system or the foreign exchange system? Of course, we need to know what is demonetization. Demonetization means stopping of a particular set of currency or a series of currency in a country. Now, stopping of this particular set of currency, why do this thing happens? Whenever the government thinks that there is an overflow or there is a increase in number of a particular currency in the market. Now, how does this increase in number of currency happens? Because all the currency is being printed by RBI. Now suppose RBI prints 1 lakh notes of 500 rupees. So, and if the market is flooded with more than this 1 lakh rupee, then 1 lakh number of 500 rupees. So, where does this extra notes of 500 rupee came from in the market? They may be some kind of fraud notes or false notes which float in the market. So, whenever this kind of situation comes, that the government sees that more than issued number of the particular currency comes in the market, there are chances of fraud in the market. That means more and more black money or more and more fraud kind of money is floating in the market. So, in this situation the government decides to demonetize that particular currency. So, what it does, it demonetizes this currency. That means, it devaluates this currency. This 500 note will be stopped. That means, that particular specific 500 note will be stopped and new 500 notes will be floated in the market. Now, stopping that particular old 500 rupee note will do what? It will excel. It will create a curiosity among the people who are containing those 500 notes in extra, in ready cash at their particular home or any some place where they are keeping this cash. So, now they will go, they will run to the bank to exchange this money, and if government further creates certain kind of restriction on the number of notes that a person can interchange, so he will not be able to do so more than that particular number. So, similarly, if I was talking about 1 lakh notes of rupees 500, then bank can take only 1 lakh notes of rupees 500, not more than that, because that has been calculated on the printing machine, on the printable amount of RBI. So, these extra notes will have to be left out in the market as a waste or as a slump in the market. So, it will affect the investors, it will affect the investors in the other country also, because they will be seeing the monetary condition, the economic condition of that particular country, because demonetization can sometimes take a certain time period, say about 2 to 3 months, so that everything comes on rail, because demonetization almost stops all kind of transaction during that period, and people tend to move to banks to exchange their ready currency with the prevalent currency in the country. So, we talk about the demonetization process, there is a history of rupee, then we have also talked about certain kind of determination of exchange rate. All these are important to know while we are investing in the other country, because as an individual, if I am investing, if I am going for export or import in that particular country, I need to check into the financial soundness as well as the political environment of that particular country. Thank you.